Is dedicated to healing through the arts. And Chef Jackson is over our culinary arts department, and he's been gracious enough to bring his skills to the table for you guys to teach you how to do some amazing food. So Jackson, take it away.
We're going to do a couple soups today out of two different kind of tomato juices. I'm going to show you how to make a couple out of a V8 tomato juice and some out of regular tomato juice. So the first soup I'm going to do is a regular straight tomato soup, and I'm going to saute some onions and celery. And if you don't like the flavors after I've introduced this to the soup, you can always strain it. And then after you strain it, you'll have a very flavorful tomato soup. Okay? On this one, I'm using just regular tomato juice. And I've got my rice already cooked. If you wanted to, you can have your rice pre-cooked, or you can throw it in at the beginning after you've strained your, what they call a little mirepoix, because there's no carrots in it. It's just the celery and the onions, okay? Sauteing this. I'm not looking for any color in there because I'm not looking to steal from the tomatoes. All right, so I have these vegetables in here. I'm going to put a little bit of pepper in here, a little bit of salt just to open up the flavor buds. And I'm going to put in my regular tomato juice. 1 can is the 46-ounce can, and you can basically, if you want to just do that in half, that'll give you enough for about 4 cups of soup. And next week we're going to be doing some bread courses, and so sandwiches and soups will go hand in hand. I'm going to add a little bit more tomato juice. And I'm going to let that come up to a boil. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to also introduce cornstarch, a cornstarch slurry. That way, when I do this, thicken it up with that slurry, it'll give it some velocity. What you want to do is when you start adding you want to make this like a medium thickness on the soup. And the way you can tell how thick your soup is watch the bubbles break. If the bubbles break fast, it's too thin. If they break slow, then it's perfect. And remember, you can always break this down. And remember what I said about saving my scraps to make a stock. Whenever you want to thin anything down, it's better if you thin it down with flavored water as opposed to tap water. Okay? Okay. Probably going to add about 2 ounces of a slurry. And then we will see. Now the reason that I'm showing you 2 soups out of this one, just because if you have any food in your refrigerator, and Lord knows we're starting to accumulate a little bit of food in our refrigerators because we're always at home now, you might have some rice left over. So if you have some rice left over, it would be a perfect complement to the tomatoes soup, and you've added another characteristic to it. Now I've got my roux incorporated, and I've got my soup thickened to a nice consistency. And I'm going to add a little bit of cream. The little bit of cream, everybody thinks that when you make a cream of soup that you got to put in 2 parts cream to 1 part broth. Well, no, you put a little bit of cream to give it the appearance of a cream soup. Probably about 2 ounces. And you can see that it's getting a little bit creamy looking, okay? So I'm gonna put in some basil. I cut this up using the chiffonade method, and it's a very pretty cut. That's what I like about that. Okay. And you can see the bubbles that are breaking up on the top. It's a little bit thicker because it's a cream of soup. So I want it to be just a medium to above medium. Okay. Salt, pepper to taste. I like to use kosher salt because they're bigger granules. And the young chefs, when they're helping you in the kitchen, don't over salt. Okay. Okay. So that is our first soup out of the second tomato juice soups. Okay, this is the second batch of tomato soup using regular tomato juice, a can of tomato juice. What I've done is I've made a tomato basil here. And you can see the cream has given it a creamy appearance, okay? And that's a garnish for your tomato basil, okay? Now, for the second one, still doing the same tomato basil, we're going to add fresh chopped bacon, okay? Now, there's nothing wrong with bacon, okay? I mean, bacon is just one of the essential items that we have to eat to live on. I mean, I even save my bacon grease and call it liquid gold. But don't let your heart doctor hear you say that, okay? Now, I've done a tomato basil bacon, a TBB, okay? And you want to put a little bit of, save your bacon, and put a little bit of chopped bacon on the top of that. Okay? Now, I'm going to use that same soup with the tomato bacon, and we're going to go and we're going to do a BLT. So the first soup that we did on the second batch of soups out of using regular tomato juice was the tomato basil. Added a little bit of roux, a little bit of cream, gave it the opaque look of a creamy soup. The next one we did is we took that tomato basil, we added bacon, and we made a tomato bacon basil soup, TBB. Okay, now we've taken that and we've added shredded lettuce and a little bit more bacon on top, and now we have a BLT. And the contrast of the cold lettuce in a hot soup is absolutely wonderful.
Thank you, Chef.
You bet.